Hello and welcome to my new podcast called Friends in 3D. My name is Katya, and today I am very happy to welcome my today's guest. Her name is Isabella, and she is my friend from our stereoscopic community from Instagram. She also does wonderful art. She does collages and edits, and also beautiful photos. So I am really hoping that we can discuss it today with her. So hello, Isabella, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Hello. Oh, it was such a pleasure to join you on your lovely podcast. And thank you so much for your kind words. And I just absolutely love your stereos as well too. And just the nature and the environments that you're in with your stereos. It's just so breathtaking and stunning. And I'm so looking forward to talking to you. It's such a pleasure to see you as we're on Zoom at the moment. So it's so lovely.
Yes, yes, it's great to see you too. And it would be nice to see each other in person, but this is probably the second best thing we can have right now. And so thank you so much. My first question would be, if you could tell a couple of words about yourself, whatever you would like to share with us. What do you like to do? What are your hobbies?
Yes, well, I consider myself quite a creative person, and I've discovered a lot about more creations that I can do over the last few years. Since 2020, really, I've developed more into doing more creations and more projects, and that's something that I've really learned about myself, like especially with last year, I find. And as my what I do for my job, I do work at a school. I always love learning and exploring new ideas, and I love to help others too. And I love to, since I work with children, I love to like see them grow and them learning new things about themselves and things about what they can do as well. And it's amazing to see like throughout the years how like as I've started wanting to do the job that I'm doing at the moment, I've learned a lot about myself too as well. So it just makes me so happy that I can pass that on to like new generation of children learning about themselves and discover things that they're passionate about and they're interested about. And it makes me happy that I can do that and go to work, and it's not even like work to me. It's just something that you just love to do. I'm also really passionate too. I consider myself quite a passionate person when it comes to like things that I'm interested in and things that I like to get involved with and reaching out to help others and people, animals. So I'm also quite hardworking too. Like once I'm like driven to something, I'm really like pretty driven to what I need to do as well too. And but it's fun though. I love it. I love doing, projects. I like getting myself busy and doing things. It's always fun to me to do more creations and to explore and learn about myself too and try on new things. I love to try new things. It's fun.
Mhm.
And I love to help out people. I love to meet new people. I love to talk to new people. And that's why, as I'm on Instagram, all the new friends, such as yourself, that I got to talk with and communicate as well through chat and now through Zoom, which is wonderful. So it just makes me so happy that I can communicate with such wonderful people. And it just gives me great joy just to, share and learn from each other in this community. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much. It's wonderful, and I think I can, I really understand your passion because I'm also a teacher. I'm an instructor, language instructor, and I can really understand how does it feel when you are passing your knowledge to your students, and I think it's such a rewarding feeling. I also love my job, and it's because it's also a part of me and a part of my passion. I just love talking to people. I love talking to young people. I think it's so great. It feels really great. And I also learn a lot from them, of course. Yes, and it's not just one way thing, one way communication. It goes both ways. That's wonderful. Before going into stereoscopy, before we start talking about stereoscopy, did you have a interest in photography, or did it just start with stereoscopy?
I've always loved actually doing photography since think around high school I was into photography because I remember just, I guess, going back to when I was a preteen, going on like Google Images and looking at like landscape photos of nature and animals. And I was always just so just inspired about just the thought of photography and just taking pictures. It's like you see the whole world around us through a photo and how much like a photo history it can hold and meaning it can hold too as someone's life and how it can inspire like so many others too through the picture. And so yeah, I did photography. I started when I was a young teen, taking pictures of like nature around me, go to a park and take pictures of a lake or a flower or sometimes even wildlife around me too, which is always a beautiful thing. I live in a area that's quite full of trees, which is lovely because you see lots of wildlife and nature. So I do a lot of my now stereos through that as well too, and before photos. And so yeah, I started off with photography, and then recently, like last year, when I figured out and discovered the beautiful world of stereos, and now that I've learned about stereos, that's just like what I love to do so much with my photography is doing stereos. And my goodness, like I just am so fascinated by like the depth that stereos bring and how it just really brings you into this a whole new world. Like, because when you look at a photo, like a flat picture, you see another world. But with a stereo, with the depth and how it just pops up in your eyes, it just like travels you and takes you to that place that that stereo holds. And I just find that's so incredible. Yeah, I'm just so happy I discovered about stereos, and my photography is basically just all stereos now.
Yes, yes. I just love I love taking pictures, but I think only with stereos I got the taste, like a real taste of taking pictures, and because it's such a special thing. So how did you discover stereoscopy? What was your journey in this?
I discovered it actually during lockdown in 2020, where I made my purchase with the book, the wonderful, marvelous book Queen in 3D by Dr. Brian May. And he is a huge inspiration when it comes to stereos. That was the first book and the first thing that got me to learn about stereos because I love Queen. So knowing that there was like a Queen book when I figured out Queen in 3D, I was so excited and fascinated. So I'm like, oh, I definitely need to read this book and experience it through these stereo images. Because at the time, I've heard about the word stereos and seen like the two images side by side, but I haven't like viewed stereos
Mhm.
yet because like at that time I didn't have a viewer before I got the book or I couldn't preview, right? So I'll just see like the two images as they are on the screen on Instagram. So once I got the book and then used the owl to view the stereo images, I was immediately in just awe, and I thought this was the coolest thing ever because I love photography since I was a teen taking pictures just on like my smartphone. But now to see like in 3D coming to life as you can just touch the images, it's just absolutely incredible. So that book just right away took me into this beautiful stereo world. And once I finished reading it, I was looking up, more about stereos and images and on Instagram too. Instagram was another big inspiration when how I started stereos too, because I just got inspired with so much of the creativity around the platform as well too. So I thought about it and I was thinking, you know what? I want to try this out. This looks absolutely like so much fun. Like I want to try this out and see how it works. So I think I started like around like the spring of 2020, I believe, the end of spring, early summer of 2020 to try out the idea of stereos. And I remember just like finding things around my house, testing with them. And ever since then, like I've just become just so in love with it to this day. And I use great apps too, like i3D Stereo, as we've most of us probably like heard of as well too. And there's another one called 3D Photo as well too. And that's where I used to do my stereos. Yeah, ever since then, like I've learned more about ways to make my stereos look, and like elements can do stereos with too. And ever since I've read Queen in 3D and the other London Stereoscopic Company books too, and they're just all so wonderful. And now with Halloween coming up with Diableries, I'll be wanting to reread that as well too. So another book that really inspired me. But yeah, Brian May has been such an inspiration, and London Stereoscopic Company. And thanks to them, stereo is out there in the 21st century.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I think this book, Queen in 3D, was such an essential book for all of us because it also led me to stereoscopy. And I think like almost everyone that I talked to, they all came to stereoscopy through Queen in 3D. And yeah, sometimes I'm wondering if Dr. May had this in mind to just bring more people into this. Because it wasn't the first LSC book that they published. Yes, they had the previous ones like The Village Lost and Found, and I think the Poor Man's Picture Gallery, I think also came out, and Diablerie, like the first edition. So they all came out before that, but this was just such a massive thing, and it just brought us straight to stereoscopy. So I think it's amazing. It's amazing, and it's really a huge influence for all of us. So I know that besides these stereos that you take, you also do conversions and edits. So I was wondering how does it convey your creativity? Because I think everything that we do, everything that we post, these things somehow convey our creativity, the way we feel about nature or the way we feel about music, our favorite songs, the band Queen or Brian May. So how does it channel your creativity? What do you think? And how did you come to, creating these pictures?
Believe it or not, it actually started because I was on some editing apps and I was bored that day and I wanted to play around and be like, stereos. I wonder if somehow I could make these stickers that I used to do edits pop up, because before that I was doing edits, but they were just flat edits. They weren't stereos and I wasn't uploading them. I just did them just for fun. Say I was wanting to do something creative that day and I just played around with the apps. But then I was thinking, like, on that day, I think it was the end of 2020 or early 2021 is when I started. I think the end of 2020 is when I started to do the stereo edits. And I took images of Ryan and also space too, because I just love face images and nebulas, and I just want to like put Brian and space together in that image, and I want to see how it looked. And so I like saved my first image and then I moved them slightly to the right, my stickers and like pictures that I used and elements, and saved that photo. And then I went to i3D Stereo and I took the left and the right image, and then it was almost like a 3D photo. Like in the beginning, it was more like the stickers. Like the stickers were just more like flat when I started off, because then I converted them after. I convert my stereos after. But in the beginning, like I just used the flat stickers. But I thought, whoa, this is really cool, and I'm interested like how this turned out. I wanted to try out more as well, and I was just like so into like the idea, and I just thought of more ideas with Brian and space, and just play around and use colors and editing tools, filters for the effects, and I was just so much fun doing it. So I wanted to do more, and I wanted to post it, and I thought, this is cool. I want to continue doing this and explore more of it as well, because recently now, a while ago, like a few months ago, I converted them as well, like the images of Brian and like the moon or the planets I would put, or the nebulas I put in the background. And it's just so much fun. And I just love to look at new ideas with space. And some days I could do nature too with my stereo edits. And now with Halloween coming up, I'm going to do some fall and probably some skeletons probably in the edits too. I'm thinking about that actually when I woke up today. So I'm like, maybe I should do skeletons.
Yeah, I'm looking forward
Yeah.
to that. Yeah, it's always fun to see all those debris, stereos in October, because I think it's now it became a tradition. Many people do it, and some just photograph skeletons, outside. Some make them their own. So it's really interesting. But I love your edits. I think they're so cheerful, and especially some of them, they really convey this feeling that we usually have when we listen to Brian's solos, like his guitar solos, and some of them really remind me of, well, I only seen it once live in Toronto when he performed above the stage and, surrounded by planets. And that was just such a beautiful sight. Yeah.
And yeah, going back to what you said, my inspiration actually was because when I use a lot of him with the Red Special and my edits. And when I think about the albums too, like Back to Light and Another World, because I feel like what we do, like as creators and artists, we create these worlds into what we do through art, drawings, paintings, stereos, and make another world actually in a way similar to his album. And another huge inspiration, Back to Light, Another World, and his music videos too, of like him with the Red Special. And I've been doing like Back to Life themes recently, stereo edits, and yeah, just to create another world basically, and just to share with others.
Yeah, it's interesting because I remember that he talked about it in one of the Another World interviews, like when that they were filmed when Another World came out, and I just saw it somewhere on YouTube where he said that he was hoping by this album, he was hoping to find this way into another world, just show his audience this way so that we can stop suffering. But it's great that he's what he did. It inspires you and inspires all of us to find this way and to create it, to respond creatively, yes, and to this music and to his creativity. Well, so when did you become a Queen fan? Was it something that was with you all your life, or did something inspire you to become a Queen fan, like the film or any other another thing?
Yes, with Queen, I've ever since I was a little girl, like I remember my dad would like play classic rock channels, and because I'm a huge classic rock fan, and I remember hearing Bohemian Rhapsody, We Will Rock You, and then followed by like We Are the Champions when I was young. And since then I just fell in love. I just loved it. I was just singing in the car, and as to this day we all sing along to it, because Queen is a band that just brings people together, and it's beautiful because you just see like generations. Even if you look at the concerts you see from the 70s and the 80s, those people that went to the concerts, and then they have family now that goes to like the concerts currently and listens to their music. So that's one of the many things, yes, I just love so much about Queen, just people band and like a family band, because thanks to my dad and my mom, I've discovered Queen and their wonderful, amazing music. And now, as the person who I am, I grew up with Queen. Definitely, it's a band that I just like grew up with ever since I was a young girl. And I remember in my teens learning like more of the songs that they did and learning more about their albums too, and discovering Long Away. And Long Away is actually one of probably my favorites from Queen, next to 39 and so many others. I love all their songs so much.
Yes, I love Long Away too.
Yeah.
I love Long Away because I knew Queen back when I was a kid, around the time when Freddie passed away. So that's when it started, playing. I'm from Russia originally, so that's when it started playing all radios and everywhere. But when about 4 years ago, when I, got into Queen again, I just discovered, and I knew A Night at the Opera, but I didn't know A Day at the Races. A Day at the Races became probably my favorite album. I just love it so much. probably even more than A Night at the Opera, even though they're very, very close. Yeah, and Longer Ways, yeah, it's such a great song, really close to my heart too. Yeah.
Absolutely. And A Day at the Races is actually one of my personal favorites too. Next to, of course, all of the albums that they did, their favorites are all my favorites. It's so hard to pick. I love them all. But yeah, A Day at the Races. Like I recently ordered the record A Day at the Races on vinyl and just listening to it while editing and such joy and magic. That's what is a kind of magic,
It's a
definitely.
kind
And
of
that's how I
magic.
just have to
Yeah, yeah,
describe Queen and see,
yeah.
yeah. And yeah, I just want to thank as well Queen for being just this amazing inspiration, and each of the members, they have such beautiful, beautiful personalities, and the whole world connects with their music, their lyrics, and it just brings us all together. And that's the beauty about music, which is beautiful. Like you see, like with Love of My Life, We Were Rocky, We're the Champions, you see everyone come together, which is just an absolutely beautiful thing. And then going back to I remember you mentioned the movie Bohemian Rhapsody. Like I remember watching it too. And I think when I watched the movie, I wanted to learn more about Queen because I was always a fan, but like the movie definitely opened my door to wanting to learn more and discover more of their music and about them. And it led me to this wonderful open door. And again, I thank my dad because my dad introduced me to the movie. So, and I remember watching with a big shout out to my dad.
Yes, that's wonderful. And I actually took my kids to the concert that we had in Toronto, and I think for them it was such a major thing, such a big thing. And of course they knew these songs too, and but hearing them live, it just, I think for them it was just mind blowing. And so I'm really happy, really happy that we took them with us. So, well, I think you talked already a little bit about it, but I was wondering how close to you are your perception of Queen music, of Brian music, and your creativity, stereos, your edits, or edits are obviously very close because they are of Brian, of Queen, but do you see it as a part of one creative process? I don't know if it makes sense, yes, or are they two separate things for you?
I would say like they're just absolutely like Queen, Brian May, huge inspiration to the creations and the edits I make. Absolutely. And I can connect back to the music too. Like somebody's wanting like do my edits, I will think about actually I would always think about like, certain Queen songs come to my mind while doing these edits that I would inspire it on. And I would listen to Queen as well while doing my edits and creations, and all of it comes so much like from them, absolutely, with Queen, Brian May. And I just want to like thank them for opening this door of just creativity, and just so much fun to just create. And I just love doing these edits, and I'd love to do stereo. Talk about stereos, like Brian May opened the door with stereo photography, and if it weren't for Brian, I would have never discovered about stereos, or even like heard about it if it weren't for Brian. And it makes me like how I wish stereo would be out there to like the whole entire world, right? Because oh my goodness, incredible stereo photography and stereos. And going back to your question, a huge part with my creativity and the creations that I do. And Brian, just this amazing and beautiful human being, an absolute light and joy to this world, with giving animals a voice, and with astrophysics, his personality, and beautiful words of wisdom, and just everything about him is just huge inspiration. And I just admire him so much. Everything he does, big thank you.
Yes,
And
yes,
to, yeah.
yes, I agree because well, for me, he opened the door to stereoscopy for me as well. He also opened the door for me to writing in English, which is not my first language. My first language is Russian, and I always loved writing, but and I wrote in English for work and for, academia when I was doing my, studies. But I always thought, English always for me was a language of work, a language of scholarship, but not a language of my own personality, of my own feelings. And I think that part of the reason why I switched to English was because it's the language of Brian, it's the language of Queen, and it's the language of this community. Yes, it's kind of, he helped me to realize that I don't need to be afraid to try it. Yes, and maybe even make mistakes, and but it's really broadened the possibilities for me, and it's so much fun just mastering this language, which I have known for many years, but I think this aspect was really unknown for me, that I'm still discovering them. So it's a big thing for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That was so lovely. Thank you for sharing your story too. And absolutely. And going to what you said about trying like new things. He has taught me like so much of that. And because like last year, I feel like I've been trying like so many new things that I've never thought that I would do or learn about myself, like stepping out of the box and learning. And so I just thank him so much for just being that inspiration and like, wise words, and meeting you guys in this community. Absolutely, as you said, if it weren't for him, like I would have met like such amazing, beautiful friends.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I agree. And thank you again. Thank you also, for sharing your journey. And, I always, again, as a part of this podcast, I always ask my guests, what does it mean to you being a fan? But I feel like we almost, we have almost covered it. But still, I still want to ask you, because I think there is a big difference between just admiring music, just loving someone's music, and being a fan, because I think that being a fan is something different, like it's a different state of mind. So I was wondering, what does it mean to you?
What you saying that makes me think about with Went Back to the Lights, the re-release. Because when I look at it, I think that's where we're a community. When I think about Instagram, how we're all we're all inspired by Brian, right? And how, we're all connected with interests that we do, with passions that we do. Like, I just feel like it's become like a beautiful family with you guys, my friends, right? And meeting new people. And I just think it's just wonderful. We can all just share and, with our creations to one another on Instagram. And I just think it's a beautiful thing. And, as artists, sharing with each other, and just love to talk with you guys. I love to see all of your creations, and it just gives me just such joy. And thank you so much to Brian for opening that door for all of us. And we are all driven by him, absolutely. So yeah, I look at us like a family and like a beautiful community that we are, which makes it feel really special.
Yes, I agree. And I also see it as a, sisterhood, brotherhood, like what again, yes, a family. And also I see being a fan as being creative. Yes, I think that, when you're actively creating something in response to music, as opposed, just passively, listening to music, which is also fine. I'm not saying like it's a wrong thing to do, but I think that, being actively creative and being inspired, that's what it means to me, to be a fan, at least, right now. And I don't think I've been a fan of other bands before, but I don't think I was so deeply into fandom as as I am now, which I never expected could happen to me, in my 40s. So it's
Absolutely. Absolutely.
it
Yeah,
doesn't
because
grow old, it's like
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Because you see, like I've listened to like music too, right? But with the community and the fan of Brian, of course, and of Queen, it became like a community, like a family, and that's what's beautiful about it. So just so happy to be a fan of Queen and Brian, absolutely happy, and just such a joy. So
Yes, it's a
yeah.
blessing, and it's a one of the greatest gifts that I got, from life. So I'm really, really happy about this. So thank you so much for talking to me and for sharing all this, all of your thoughts, and so beautifully describing our community, your own creativity. It's been really a great pleasure for me talking to you. And if you're listening to this episode on Spotify, I'm going to put Isabella's Instagram handle into the description so that you could see her photos and stereos and her edits.
Oh, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure talking to you, and just to see you on Zoom, it just made me so happy. And thank you so much. It was so lovely, and I love everything you create and you do too. And you're just a beautiful, sweet, and amazing person. And lots of love to you. Thank you so much for this wonderful chat. It was such a joy.
Thank you so much, and lots of love to you too.